If you're not very happy in one area of your life, there's a basic principle that you can use to increase your happiness in that area. We have a lot of different areas of our life that affect our enjoyment now and our odds of being able to keep living the way we want to when we're elderly. If your level of happiness in an area of your life, like your family relationships or your physical endurance or your finances, is lower than you'd like it to be, there's an interesting principle of coupled variables that you can use to increase your happiness in that area on demand. You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 237, Increase Happiness in Any Area of Life. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. I hope that you have had a great wintertime week. How's your understanding of oral estrogen replacement? I hope learning about how you choose to ingest your estrogen replacement affects your long-term health helps you to make good decisions for yourself and speak up for what you want to your healthcare provider. Today, we're going to talk about a principle that can give you the power to increase your happiness at will in any area of your life, which is pretty cool. Think about all the different areas of your life. You're probably pretty happy in most of them, which is fabulous, but there might be one or two where you're not as happy as you'd like to be. Whether that's spiritual, social, academic, your physical strength, your cardiorespiratory endurance, your career, your friend group, the amount of adventure or travel in your life, emotional, financial, your home decor and organization, cleaning, time management, creativity, play, ability to focus, your garden, your business, your sex life, email, meal planning and prep, whatever. How is your happiness in all of these areas? How happy are you about your teeth brushing? Or you're showering, driving, pet care? Is there an area of your life that you'd like to be happier about? What is it? If you have more than one, pick just one. Why do you think you're not happier in this area right now? Is there an easily identifiable cause of your discontent? I think a lot of times it can feel pretty overwhelming to have to figure out how to diagnose a problem, and even more so, all of the things you'd have to fix and do differently to start to feel happier. It's easier to not have to think about all of that stuff and to just stay unhappy. But obviously that's not what we actually want. I think all humans are born with an innate desire to improve and advance in our capabilities. So ignoring that inborn drive toward betterment causes a sense of discontent to permeate our lives and make us restless or sad or anxious. What if when you get that sense that something's not right and you're unhappy in some area of your life, no matter what that area of life is, or what you think the problem might be, or how confusing or overwhelming finding the solution seems, there were just one thing you needed to do to feel better? You could save so much mental energy and time spent spinning out or berating yourself for not being better or whatever. According to author Matthew Kelly, there's only one way to increase your happiness in any area of your life. Only one thing to remember. Only one thing to do. I love having a simple mental framework to come back to later to remind myself, oh yeah, it's just this one thing. That's not to say that it's super easy or fun to get started, but it is simple and straightforward, and that's pretty great. So whether you're dissatisfied with your relationships with friends, your eating habits, your level of home organization, your career advancement, your physical strength, your skill level in competitive hot dog eating, or anything else, there's a straightforward variable to tweak to change that. Have you ever heard of coupled variables? They're two independent things that move with one another. One goes up, the other goes up. One goes down, the other goes down. There are several examples of this in physics and chemistry. If you link two pendulums together with a spring, the displacement of one pendulum directly affects the force of the other pendulum because of the spring. In carbon dioxide, the vibrational energy of the carbon is coupled to the vibrational energy of the two oxygen atoms on either side of it, making it a coherent unit with the same amount of energy in each of the three separate atoms that make up the molecule. There are other coupled variables in the world. The amount of light in the room is directly tied to the visibility in the room. The amount of dividend earning potential in your investment account is directly coupled to the total balance of that account. The amount of time you spend in silence is directly coupled to your sense of connection with yourself. The quality of fats in your diet is directly coupled to the quality of fats in the membranes of your cells. Okay, so here's Matthew Kelly's quote from his book, Perfectly Yourself. Isn't that a great book title? You cannot be happy without discipline. In fact, if you want to measure the level of happiness in your life, measure your level of discipline. You will never have more happiness than you have discipline. The two are directly linked to each other. If you want to increase the level of fulfillment and happiness in a certain area of your life, increase your level of discipline in that area of your life. On the other hand, if you find that you are altogether too happy too much of the time, you may want to think about decreasing the level of discipline in your life. Discipline and happiness are directly linked. End quote. What do you think? Is he right about discipline and happiness being coupled variables? If you think about an area of your life where you're very happy, say your artistic creativity or adventure travel or your finances, is that an area of your life with high discipline? What about your driving or your teeth brushing or your showering? Those are usually areas where we're pretty disciplined already. What about an area of your life where you're unhappy? Maybe your faith or your cardiorespiratory endurance or your wardrobe. Is it an area with low discipline? I think figuring out this coupled variable link between unhappiness and discipline is like getting the cheat code to life satisfaction. Even though the word discipline isn't very sexy, it's exciting to know because it turns off all the mind chatter and the stumbling around in the dark trying to figure out what to do, or worse, trying to figure out what's inherently wrong with you. Discipline is a learnable skill, and you can also learn through practice how to acknowledge that your discipline is low in a certain area without having that mean anything about your personal morality or worthiness. I think this is why tiny habits can be way more powerful than they seem like they should be. Flossing one tooth or doing one push-up can be life-changing because it's about increasing your discipline. Being consistent at something, even something very tiny, changes your happiness, especially if you celebrate yourself as BJ Fogg mandates that you do in his book, Tiny Habits. I hope you're thinking of an area of your life that you'd like to boost your happiness in. Now you know that all you have to do is boost your discipline in that area. Simple. And the cooler part is that you don't have to do something huge or figure out how to do something perfectly. That's not what it's about. It's less about what you do and more about being disciplined to do something. If you can think of something you think will probably be useful and you know you can stick with it, just do that. Stay consistent. And it's okay to change your approach later as you collect more happiness and more life feedback along the way. Just stay in the game. Stay in the game, do something, and your happiness will rise. Of course, discipline isn't always fun or easy in the moment. If it were, everyone would be doing it and it wouldn't be so deeply satisfying. But another thing that can help you push through and be disciplined, besides remembering your why and your identity and your future self and all of those other useful things, is remembering that this is the price you're paying for increased happiness. Happiness is on its way to you because you're doing what you said you would do. Also, always remember to celebrate when you do your disciplined action and pay close attention to the progress you're making over time. Another quote from Matthew Kelly says, "The reason most of us fail to achieve real and sustainable change in our lives is because we focus too much on the desired outcome and not enough on the progress we're making." It's important to establish goals, but they can often seem overwhelming and impossible. If we can condition ourselves to focus on the progress we are making, our advances will encourage us to persevere in achieving our goals and dreams. It is when we lose sight of our progress that we become discouraged, and it's discouragement that often lands us back in our old self-defeating habits and self-destructive behaviors. End quote. So way more important than figuring out the most ideal version of perfection is just staying in the game, being consistent, doing the little things, and taking note of the progress that we've made. Here's how Ryan Holiday puts it. Don't worry about setting any records. Just report for duty. No excuses. And here's the irony. This is also the way to break records. Consistency is a superpower. Day-to-day willpower is incredibly rare. Lou Gehrig was a solid position player and a good hitter, but his success really was rooted in the fact that he didn't miss many days of work. You don't have to always be amazing. You do always have to show up. What matters is sticking around for the next at-bat. The ability to do that, coupled with the ability to endure what John Steinbeck called dawdle days while writing East of Eden, those days when everything seems out of whack, when you're just not feeling it, when the distractions won't stop, is the first step to greatness. Literally. End quote. That's from Ryan Holiday's book, Discipline is Destiny. I love it. You don't have to always be amazing. You do always have to show up. Just report for duty. Stay in the game. Stick around for the next at-bat. Endure your dawdle days, and you'll eventually become great. So Ryan Holiday thinks discipline is destiny. And Jocko Willink's main catchphrase, at least the one I remember and associate him with, is discipline equals freedom. I like Jocko, and I drank Jocko milk every morning on my trip to New Orleans last month. Not that that has anything to do with it, but I think he's onto something. Probably the same thing Matthew Kelly is onto, saying that happiness and discipline are directly correlated. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's removing limitations, incompetence, and negative consequences from your life. Deciding what you want your life to be instead of leaving it up to your whims, impulses, moods, and other short-term desires. Health freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, all come from discipline. Freedom is earned. Michael Beckwith, he's on the movie The Secret, if you remember, says the gift of self-discipline is that it has the power to take you beyond the reasoning of temporary emotion to freedom. Think of how empowered you've felt on occasions when you haven't given in to the "I don't feel like it" syndrome and honored your commitment to yourself. What does not feeling like it have to do with it? The combination of love for something with the willingness to do what it takes to practice it, discipline, results in freedom. End quote. That's a good one-liner to remember when you don't feel like doing the tiny thing you told yourself you'd do to boost your happiness in a certain area of life. What does not feeling like it have to do with it? Beckwith invented the word blissipline to describe consistently doing the thing that's hard to do but ultimately brings you joy. When you're unhappy about an area of your life, the answer isn't about finding the most perfect panacea. It's not a complicated system or a life overhaul. It's about doing something consistently. You don't have to be amazing every day. You just have to show up for the next at-bat. Do something small. Matthew Kelly says, in each moment, just do the next right thing and your life will begin to flood with joy. Just so you know, I checked, and his book was published in August of 2017, and the Next Right Thing song from Frozen 2 was released in November of 2019. So, obviously, you can trust him. He also says, how much discipline is enough? The answer depends on how happy you want to be, and for how long you want that happiness to last. Pretty good stuff. I hope keeping in mind this principle of coupled variables helps you simplify how to approach increasing your happiness. I know I can feel it when I do it. Higher discipline in an area equals higher happiness in that area. Discipline is destiny, and discipline is also freedom. Happiness isn't about outside circumstances or even what you choose to do. It's whether you do it consistently, especially when you don't want to. I'll leave you with one last quote from Matthew Kelly in his book, Perfectly Yourself. Let us not seek what is easy. Let us boldly seek what is possible. Thank you so much for being here today. Next week, we're going to talk about how the electromagnetic fields that are everywhere around you affect your biology. Until then, boost your happiness with happiness's coupled variable. And don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.